Hello, everyone. This is Lisa from Hearing Loss Pathfinder. And today I wanted to dive into a question that comes up once in a while, and it's an important one once in a while. It probably comes up a lot. And I'm sure other people, will give you a lot of opinions and try to push your sales here or there, but it's really, really a personal decision that only you can make. And that is why why should I have cochlear implant surgery? It's very personal. However, sometimes it can help to ask someone who has cochlear implants, why did you make a decision to have the surgery? And I just knew I just knew that I wanted to continue to be active and interacting with people and enjoying life. I knew that I still wanted to go to the movies. I still knew that I wanted to continue to do, my work as a social worker. And um, I knew that if I didn't, I felt like my health would suffer. I felt like, my behavioral health, what I was used to doing and being active and interacting with other people and jumping in with friends and going to have fun, it just would probably, a lot of it, come to an end. And, because I was already at a point where uh, I could barely understand conversations. And so it was coming to a point where I needed to make a decision. And, I knew it wasn't going to be perfect. It's sometimes you don't quite know how it's going to happen or develop because everybody is a little different. And going back to the health piece, I knew also that there was research happening at the time. Now it's much more clear, and it's a fact that we know that hearing loss is very, very connected to dementia. And I certainly didn't want to go down that road, not in my young age. So I was in my 30s, mid 30s, when my hearing loss started. And, 3 years later, I just didn't have any more hearing to fix or deal with. So I knew I had to do something. And so for health reasons, physical health and for emotional health, I made the decision to have a cochlear implant. And it was hard because there was not a lot of people around me, and I didn't know anybody who had cochlear implants. What happened to me was what kind of solidified for me is I had a friend. Her name was Karen, and I could barely talk to her. She seemed like a really interesting person, but I could barely talk to her because she couldn't hear me. She was at that stage where she just couldn't hear me. So I was saddened and I was frustrated. It was like, what kind of things can I do to be able to communicate with her? And so I bought a little booklet. We were on a conference together, and so I purchased a little binder, and I wrote things that I wanted to ask her, and she was looking into getting a cochlear implant. And so I watched her go through the journey of getting a cochlear implant. And I'll never forget that months later we were going to have a meeting at her house. And we were in the, I was helping her set the table for everybody. We were going to have a luncheon there. And I asked her where the napkins were, and she had her back to me, and I thought, oh, darn. She had her back to me, so she probably wasn't going to hear me, and she said, oh, it's in the drawer to your left. I was like, what? She heard that? So I called her. I said, Karen, turn around for a second. So she did. And I said, you heard me. She said, yeah, I'm doing really well with my hearing. She absolutely shocked me. I would have never been able to do that with her prior to her getting a cochlear implant. She heard me perfectly. She had her back to me. And she said, sure, the drawer to the left. It was absolutely shocking. After experiencing her for months and months and months not being able to hear me, well, let alone with her back to me. So I thought, darn, these cochlear implants really work. So so that really kind of solidified my decision in yes, this is a good road to go down. And granted, the success rate is 98%. 98%. So I don't think you can get any better than that. And maybe it has, but so I figured, it wasn't too bad. It was outpatient surgery and it was worth the risk. And the doctors take all the precautions. They'll do all the scans that they need and they'll do x-rays and they'll do the CT scans and they'll do MRIs and all that before the surgery to make sure that they are clear as to, the structure of your ears, externally and internally. So, that kind of gave me confidence. I spoke to the surgeon and quite a few times and, it was okay. It was okay for me. So I took the risk and here I am. I'm hearing really well. I'm still hearing impaired and I still take off my cochlear implants at night to go to sleep. So then I don't hear anything, but I wasn't hearing anything before. So it doesn't worry me. I have signalers in my room. If I take a break and take off my processors and need a break, then, there's a doorbell outside my room and I'll see it flashing and, So, what I want to say is that everything in this life has solutions. And, sometimes you have to take the plunge. And I would say if you have good health and the surgeon says, it's worth it and, I would be happy to do the surgery for you, but the decision has to be yours. And it's very true. Everybody's journey is different and everybody's reason is a little different. So it is important for you to make that decision on your own without pressure, without pressure. And, oh, Lisa, but I'm old. I'm 70 years old. Why am I going to do it? And I have to say to that, age has nothing to do with it. Absolutely nothing to do with it. So you really have to get that piece out of your mind. And people say, well, I understand why you did it because you were young. And it's like, no, age has nothing to do with it. True, I was young and I had a whole lot of things that I still wanted to do with my life. But age, there's no upper limit for cochlear implants. And it's really important for your own health and to avoid dementia and avoid isolating yourself and having your behavioral health affected, that you get a cochlear implant and you be able to hear and interact with others. It's really important. So I don't want to push anybody, in one direction or another because I don't know your story or yours or yours. So it's important to really take out the time, do your homework, and and make choices. There are 3 brands here in the United States, but that is for a different video about brands. And there should never be a brand war or a brand argument or So in another video, I'll discuss brands. So you have some homework cut out for you to really think about it and think about what would convince you to get a cochlear implant? What are some of your fears or concerns? Write all that down and talk to the surgeon, ask them questions. They don't mind at all. So it's really important to get those questions out in the open so that you understand where you're at, where you stand. And nobody else can make that decision for you. This is something very personal and something that you have to make a decision on, one way or the other. So if it's no, then it's no. If it's yes, then yes, then you go ahead. So I'll leave you with that. You know my reasons for my behavioral health needs and for my physical needs. And to avoid dementia at an early age, I made that decision. So there you have it. So go ahead and think about it. Take the time you need. There's no pressure on this. You have nothing to lose and a lot to gain. So think about it. Write down your questions down below if you need to ask questions. Share your experiences if you're someone who already has a cochlear implant, and make a contribution to others about your experiences with your cochlear implants without pressuring. All right, I'll leave it at that, and truly feel free to ask any questions you'd like. All right, Lisa out.